The group stage is going to be done and dusted tomorrow in the morning. We know who our Super 8s are. 12 teams have been knocked out. So we're going to be talking about this and today's game and lots more on Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher. I've got a very happy Michael Vaughan because England won their game yesterday in the Euro. And a very exotic Dinesh Karthik in exotic clothes in an exotic location. So I think we can spend 30 seconds. People, that's not a photograph. That's actually Dinesh Karthik and the backdrop with where he is right now. Welcome, DK.
Good morning, Saimi. How are you? Hope everything is okay. I'm in this part of the world where Michael Vaughan wishes he was here, but bad luck, he has to stay in Bombay for the moment.
Oh, it's just not Michael, it's me as well with that blue water and your matching clothes today. You're lightening up our studio and lightening, you always do, but today there's even more lightening up that you're bringing to the studio, DK.
Thanks a lot, Saimi. It feels very good to hear all this. I've been very lonely in Barbados, so it's nice to hear all these positive things.
As long as you're not being given company by the rain, I think cricket fans will be happy because we've seen so many washed out games this World Cup that we're just happy to see the sun shining behind you.
No, the weather is outstanding here. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm literally irritating you all by showing the background, but genuinely, the weather has been very, very good. The odd shower, but that's not going to disturb a cricket match.
You know, Michael, I know you've gone and gotten all your treatments done today and you're looking fresh and wonderful, but that screen just looks so much nicer with DK and that backdrop instead of both of us. But we'll have to make do with being here in Mumbai while DK is enjoying himself there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Mumbai. Mumbai brings me so much joy. I love the UK, particularly the northern parts of the UK. But I have to say, I'm very jealous of the man on the screen. Barbados is my place of choice. If I ever want to go and chill out and have a bit of fun, DK is probably on the balcony that I've sat on many times on my holidays. It's a beautiful stretch of coastline. The white sand, the blue sea, and the rum cocktails are delightful on that island. So, yes, I'm a bit jealous of DK.
Well, DK, I have to tell you that the sun is shining behind you. But today's game, when PNG take on New Zealand, the covers are coming on. So it looks like it's going to be a rainy day again. We hope we can get the sunshine from behind DK and put it onto the field. The captains are coming out, but they've gone back in. So again, Michael, this probably will be a hat trick for us.
What's going on in the Caribbean? I know Florida, we had a bit of rain. We've had a bit of rain in Barbados. Obviously, the England-Scotland game. There's been a few showers in Antigua. England managed to just sneak through that game against Namibia. And now rain in Trinidad. What's going on in the Caribbean, DK?
I don't know. I mean, the rain has been the consistent feature of this World Cup so far. Other than low scores, it's just been rains. That's been very consistent. It's been a very hard World Cup so far for a lot of the teams. Given a lot of anxiety, I feel. Because of rain, actually, England were under so much pressure playing the last two games. A tad bit unfair to them. Yes, they didn't play really well against Australia, understandable. But because that game against Scotland got washed out, man, they were behind the 8 ball and they were running helter-skelter. Just that last game, and they must have been under so much pressure to wait to start that game. It's been a really damp, wet World Cup. But all said and done, it's good to see one team. The story has been USA, who have done very well in their home conditions. So there's been good things happening, but also a little bit of low scores and plenty of rain throughout.
Well, because DK spoke about it, I thought we might as well see what's happened in this World Cup so far. DK spoke about USA. Let's have a look at Group A and see what's happened in the World Cup in Group A. There is India and USA that have qualified. But DK, first for you, what has been the top story? Has it been America qualifying, Pakistan getting knocked out so early? What has been the highlight story in Group A for you?
Oh, without doubt, it's been USA, isn't it? Just imagine that, playing at a World Cup of this magnitude, beating Pakistan, not just once, twice on the day. They played a super over and they beat them there as well. So I think they should be very proud of their efforts. A lot of players from different parts of the world coming together, and Stuart Law doing a good job as a coach. And I'm really happy for them, meeting a lot of them while walking around in malls and all of that. They've all migrated to America with the hope that obviously they can make some money and do a full-time job, which could be corporate in some circles, some other players, something else. But to have come and competed against teams, and including India. They pushed India. It wasn't an easy victory that. So, they should be really proud of their effort. And I just hope they have it in them to win one of the Super 8s. And that will be a great story as well.
Michael, for you, we just saw what Gary Kirsten had to say about Team Pakistan. We've spoken so much about what Pakistan have fallen short with, but what has been your highlight in Group A?
Oh, as DK said, the highlight is America. That's a real positive aspect of Group A. Aaron Jones with that first game where he stroked 94 off 40-odd deliveries. That was really the start that they needed. But they've pushed all the teams. They've played some really good cricket. But I think the story which has got the most traction has been Pakistan. And Gary Kirsten's comments overnight when DK's chuckling away in Barbados. But it's true. I mean, Gary Kirsten's comments about them not being a team, they're not fit enough. Only those that are going to be into fitness will carry on the journey. I hope Gary Kirsten gets time. Because I've seen it so often in Pakistan. I thought actually Mohammed Hafiz was doing a good job with Pakistan. Only about 6 months ago in Australia, he had the team. They played some decent Test match cricket. If they'd have caught anything like in Australia, I think they could have won that series. The catching was horrific. But he was trying to get them to become fitter. You could see after every day they were running around the outfield, and you could see one or two at the back, and Hafiz was kind of going, well, they'll be out of the team. We're going to get rid of those kind of players. And Gary Kirsten, only 6 months later, has said exactly the same thing. They need to be more professional. They need to be more collectively together as a team. And obviously they've got to be a lot fitter. And if they're not going to be that, they're not going to be on his journey. I just hope Gary Kirsten gets time, because if he gets time, I have no doubt that he'll get it right over a couple of years.
DK,
Simon, just a second. Sorry to interject there. I genuinely saw that quote from Gary Kirsten just this morning in wherever I am, which is Barbados, and I thought it was fake news, because I cannot imagine Gary Kirsten coming out with such strong statements. In his coaching career so far, he hasn't had a statement like this.
Yes.
And now that you'll speak about it, I believe that it is the truth. And for Gary Kirsten to come out and say something like that, man, he must have had a tough few weeks there. You can just try your best in a World Cup, but just to observe what's happening there. And we all knew it from outside, I guess, that things are not really hunky-dory like it seems. There must be a lot of disharmony in the team, and for the coach to come out and say this. The problem with this is the moment a coach says something like this, a change of regime, a different president, and the first person to get sacked is the coach. For some strange reason, the players have found a way just to stay afloat, but it's the coaches who keep getting churned and recycled. Each one has their favorite. They bring back their favorite coach. And just like what Michael said, I hope that's not the case. Gary Kirsten is a good coach. If you give him time, I do think he can push the team in the right direction. But only God knows what's going to happen with Pakistan.
Well, Michael, they have been their biggest enemies. But from Group A, if you're to pick one standout performer, who do you think it's going to be?
I just, like I said, Aaron Jones. I just think if for the USA to shock the likes of England, South Africa, and the West Indies, clearly they're going to have to bowl and field well. But I think they're going to be on venues Barbados, St. Lucia, where I think they're going to be quite high-scoring games. Barbados generally it's a good batting surface. Particularly when the wind starts to blow, you've always got a side to target. St. Lucia, as we saw the other day, good pitch, wind blows, you can target a side. I just think so that Aaron Jones is going to have to... He started the tournament with a tremendous 94. I think he's going to have to find that explosive form once again to put real quality teams under pressure.
DK, Saurabh Netrawalkar has become the talk of the town, the most eligible gentleman around. Besides him, do you have anyone else who's been on your standout performer?
For America, definitely, I thought Saurabh Netrawalkar was a success story as well. Just the way he started with the ball, the way he bowled the super over. And he's been consistent in almost all matches played. And the name that Michael suggested, Aaron Jones, played fabulously at the start against Canada. That was such a crucial inning. So it's been a very, very good collective effort from America. Even Monang Patel, the skipper of that team, led this team very, very usefully.
But if you have to pick one, who's it going to be from the entire group?
Saurabh Netrawalkar.
All right. Saurabh, for you it is. Then now let's quickly have a look at Group B and see what happened there.
You having a cup of tea?
I've got some hot water because, I'm just feeling the FOMO because he's sitting by the beach here. So I was not expecting DK to come up with this backdrop.
Just lucky, where's my cup of tea? I haven't got anything in mind.
We'll get you some Irish coffee if you want for the next
Thank
show.
you very
Michael,
much, yes.
If that's what you want.
I'd like,
I know
I'd
you
like a
don't
rum
drink.
punch.
I know you don't drink, but a hot cup of tea is not what sells in Barbados. It's exactly what Michael spoke about, rum cocktail. That's
Yeah,
what works
nice
here.
rum punch on the beach. Whew.
All right, we'll maybe try and get that for you after the show then, Michael.
Yes, please.
Yes, after the show, because we have to now talk about what happened in Group B. I don't think you want to do it with rum in your glass because it was a group which was filled with lots of nerves for you. England did make it through. They did qualify. Australia have been very consistent, but they did give you the fear that it could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, after 2 games, I needed a glass of rum just to dissect what had gone on. Australia have been fantastic. The powerhouse. They actually, the one game that they didn't play great and they only just got over the line was against Scotland. You know, they fielded poorly. They dropped 6 chances. It was down to Travis Head and Stoinis to power them over the line against the Scots. England are just coming good. I mean, they've only beaten Oman and Namibia, and that's not disrespecting those 2 sides, but you'd expect England to beat those 2 teams. But I actually thought in the last game that was 11 overs and then went down to 10 overs, that they stumbled across what could be their best formation. You know, I like Sam Curran back into the team. I'd just go Wood for Jordan from that 11. I want a bit of pace. I want Jofra and Wood bowling together. But then you've got the likes of Moeen Ali, Adil Rashid, Liam Livingstone. Will Jacks misses out. I believe Liam Livingstone's got a bit of a side problem, so he might miss against the West Indies. You just bring Jacks in for Liam Livingstone. Johnny Bairstow at 3. Harry Brook at 4. I just think he's such a good player that I want him to be batting at number 4. He's got the ability to just win any game of cricket on his own. He's just that good a player. He's not done it brilliantly for England in white ball cricket, but you can just see he's got that magic. And at number 4, I think he can dominate a game of cricket. So I think they're coming good at the right time. We saw it in the last T20 World Cup in Australia, that England pretty much from the get-go played poorly, just managed to sneak through. Then they played a certain India in the semi-final. I'm sure you'll all remember that. That was their best performance and managed to get over the line in the final just because of an injury to Shaheen Shah Afridi. But England are very, very dangerous. A dangerous team, and they're just starting to get things going at the right time.
And with Australia, do you think they've been super consistent, just carried on that form that they've had in the previous World Cup? Or do you think there's something that they want to go back to the drawing board and change in the Super 8s?
No, I think they've got everything covered. I think one of the big strengths that Australia have is Marcus Stoinis has found a way of playing spin. You know, I think you go back 2 years ago, I think most teams around the world would have put spinners onto Marcus Stoinis, and they knew that they could probably, out of an over of 6, 3 or 4 dot balls, because he wasn't brilliant at rotating the strike. I see he's now got this reverse sweep.
Do you think the IPL's helped there?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And he's practiced and he's worked a method and he's worked with a couple of coaches, no doubt. I think he was with Andy Flower this year, and I'm sure Andy Flower would have been working with the reverse sweeps and the sweeping of the ball. So, yeah, I think Stoinis is a big player. You look at the powerhouse of Maxwell, Tim David, Stoinis, Mitchell Marsh, Travis Head, David Warner. Cameron Green can't even get in. So they've got a powerhouse of a batting lineup, and with the ball in hand, they've got lots of variations and all the different angle changes and pace. And they've got not the captain, but the player in Pat Cummins, who just knows how to get his team over the line. Even though he's not the skipper of this T20 team, he just knows how to galvanise the group to get them over the line in big tournaments, big games. So I think they're the team to beat from what we've seen so far. And they might have peaked too early, but Australia look the team to beat.
DK, for you then, the story from Group B, what do you think has been the highlight in Group B? Parthiv Patel, in case you missed it, told Michael that England were looking a bit scared in the group stage. Do you agree there? Oh, sorry, DK.
They didn't play up to their potential.
Yeah, I think now we can hear you.
For me, the player of that group was Marcus Stoinis.
Marcus Stoinis
I
for
thought
you.
he was solid. Yeah, I thought he has been very consistent with bat and ball, and he's been a key part of why Australia has been successful in the group stages.
But what has been the story for you in Group B? Has it been Australia's consistency? Has it been England, which could have lost if it had kind of gotten washed out, or just Scotland showing the resilience that they've shown?
For me, it was England just getting out of jail. Rain really made it tough for them, and that last game, it was on the line. They weren't playing with skills, it was about nature. They were fighting with nature, and it's good to see England there. They deserve to be there.
Yeah, they were fighting with nature, and we were on the show together, Michael, the other night when you were giving you the updates. I think you had a late night game, got over at like 3:30 India time. So, like he said, they just got out of jail because the first game as well, that game could have gone either way.
Yeah, I mean, the first game against Scotland, you know, we all sit back in the UK and say, oh, they'd have chased the 110 off 10 overs, but you never know. You know, it's never an easy chase scoring at 10 and over from ball one, but, you know, England have got power. You know, the one thing that I always look at the England white ball team is if you're going to beat them, I think you can get their bowling. You know, I think you can get England's bowling. That batting lineup's so powerful. It's got so much danger. I don't think many of them have found form. I don't think Salt and Butler at the top have found their electric form, but you know, they can do. They're the kind of team, and particularly Butler's the kind of player that he can have a game and win a game on his own. So I don't necessarily worry about England's batting, but I do sometimes watch the bowling and think that bowling attack, it's the same attack that's been around for a while. And I think the opposition now know exactly what England are going to throw at them. And also, as I said yesterday on the show, the England aura that they had probably 2 or 3 years ago in white ball cricket, and I believe that won them that T20 World Cup in Australia, this aura about the group. I don't think they have that same aura that they had 2 or 3 years ago. So England are going to have to play extremely well from here on in to win the tournament.
All right, then let's move on to Group C and see what happened there. Afghanistan has qualified in that group along with West Indies. The big story there is New Zealand blowing out. DK, do you think that is the story from the group or just Afghanistan topping it?
If you had to put a positive spin to it, it's Afghanistan. If you had to state out what the reality is, New Zealand played poorly. I think they'd be very aware that they couldn't even compete against Afghanistan. They got blown away. They didn't bowl that well. For once, I could definitely say that New Zealand actually didn't field well as well in that game. And batting was really found wanting on slow pitches. It was a team that in many ways got hastily cobbled together just before the tournament, didn't play any practice matches, and then walked into the park, no feeling that they could probably dominate because they've done so consistently in World Cup tournaments. But in this World Cup, it definitely didn't get going. It was a struggle for them with the ball and the bat.
Michael, for you, was Afghanistan a surprise? With West Indies, you know, they were touted to be favourites coming into the World Cup, but Afghanistan a surprise for you?
No surprise. I think they're a quality team. I think they've got pretty much everything that you require. They've got the experience now. They've got a group of players that have played a huge amount of T20 cricket and have been playing recently. They all play a huge amount of this format of the game. They've got a coach in Jonathan Trott who obviously did so well in the 50 over World Cup. They were so close to making the semi-finals. I remember after the 50 over World Cup that it was Rashid Khan who came and said, but we're a better T20 team. So get ready for the T20 World Cup. I don't think they'll be surprised at all that they've reached the Super 8s. I think they'll have expected to do so. New Zealand, I think they're the kind of side that I worry about because, you know, most of their players are over 30. You know, we're going to see the last of Trent Boult today. How much longer has Tim Southey got? How much longer in white ball cricket has Kane Williamson got? And what have they got waiting underneath? You know, are there any 20, 21-year-olds that are coming through their system? I worry for New Zealand cricket because all the players have to go and play all these different franchise leagues around the world because they don't get paid a huge amount in New Zealand. So that's probably why they haven't played the warm-up games, because they were playing in the IPL. They wanted to go home for a week just to say hello to their families once again, and then they disappeared to the Caribbean and they go straight into a World Cup. They've been so consistent in World Cups for many, many years. We always expect New Zealand to just perform. And I just wonder whether we're coming to see the end of this. And they're a great group of New Zealand cricketers that have done tremendously well, barring win a tournament. They've done everything else. And I just wonder whether we're going to see a little bit of a decline in New Zealand cricket just for a few years, because they're going to have to bring through some youngsters, which we know will be a transitional period for the New Zealand cricket team. But they've had a great ride, and I guess it was always going to come to an end eventually. I didn't think it was going to be this tournament, though, because they've got so much quality in their ranks, particularly in T20 cricket.
DK, first you and Michael, your players, top player from this group, who's it going to be?
I thought about it and I went for Fazil Haq Farooqi. I just feel he's been brilliant with the new ball. He's almost affected a wicket every time he's come on to bowl, at times 2 and in a game 3 as well. So I would think that he's been pivotal in Afghanistan getting to the Super 8 stage.
Michael, for you?
I'm going to go the ledge, Rashid Khan. You know, I think he's undoubtedly maybe the number 1 pick in T20 cricket. And I think and you can see what he does with this Afghanistan team. He's the leader. He really does give them a huge amount of energy. You see him often doing the team chats, and I just think that he's got a lovely journey and a great story. And in the Afghanistan, the whole story about all the players of where they've come from is remarkable. And there's a little bit inside me thinks that I hope they make it to the semi-finals. It'd be an incredible story, and I wouldn't back them against it because of the quality that they have in that team. But Rashid will have to bowl well.
I was hoping that they reached the semis in the World Cup, the 50-over World Cup as well. So I hope to see them in the semis here. Like you said, DK, that clip floating around, they just seem like such a team. They play like a team. They're celebrating with each other.
They're everything Pakistan are not.
Sorry?
They're everything. Afghanistan give you everything that Pakistan aren't giving. So they're collective, they're fit, they're together. Everything that Pakistan cricket at the minute don't do.
All right, then let's have a look at Group D, the final group, and see what happened in that group. South Africa have qualified along with Bangladesh. DK, for you, the top story here, do you think it's been South Africa or it's been Sri Lanka not making it? South Africa beating Netherlands this time around. What has it been?
Yeah, a couple of things here. One, the Bangladesh-Sri Lanka game has been a rivalry that can compete with Australia, England, or India, Pakistan. They have actually developed a very fierce rivalry. And this game also went down the line, low scoring in New York, and Bangladesh just pipped ahead. And once they did that, they knew that they had a strong chance going into the Super 8, and they didn't let the foot off the gas. They made sure they won the rest of their games. They had a good one against Netherlands as well. They were pushed. Netherlands, again, a solid team. This was probably the toughest group because there are 4 solid teams who can come. And South Africa have just barely, in Ian Smith's words, by the barest of margins, beaten teams almost every time they've played in this league. They really want their batting to wake up and start doing some scoring. They've depended heavily on their fielding and bowling to get them through, which they have. But the good thing is they have won close matches. They haven't let go. That is the positive for me in this tournament, in this group rather. Michael,
for you, we saw that really close game against Nepal as well.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this group and there's hardly been any runs scored. It's been a group where the games have been around 114, and the last 2 games in St Vincent, Nepal, have been asked to chase 115, and then just yesterday 109 didn't get over the line. I would worry about the batting units of both South Africa and Bangladesh because they haven't been consistently getting runs because they've been playing on some poor surfaces. I mean, Henrik Klaasen, for me, is the best number 5 in world cricket in T20s, but we haven't seen a great deal of him because of the surfaces. It's not been easy. So for South Africa to progress into the semis, we're going to have to see the Klaasen that we saw in the IPL and the Markram. Miller's going to have to fire. De Kock's going to have to come out flying. But I think the pitches will be better for them. It's just whether you can go from playing on really poor pitches to suddenly going on a decent pitch to get that rhythm of play straight away back into your game. And I question both of these teams going into the Super 8s that it's sometimes very, very difficult the first time that you go and play in the Super 8s from being on poor pitches to better pitches to suddenly going from, knowing that 120 is a good score to suddenly 210 might be a good score, and how you get that rhythm straight away in your first game. So I do have a bit of concern about both these sides, but they're dangerous. Bangladesh on a spinning wicket, I think they can compete with any team in the world. Delighted to see Shakib Al Hassan back in form, scoring a few runs, getting a few wickets. I mean, the Fizz last night and Tamsin, I think between them was 7 for 14 in their 8 overs. So the Seamers are doing a little bit of magic, but can they reach the semi-finals, Bangladesh? I don't think they'll make it through.
So your top players from this group, DK?
My top player is a bit of an outside pick. It's Rishad Hussain. I've been very impressed with how well he's bowled. Ball gets some bite off the surface. He hasn't picked up too many wickets, but he looks a very, very good talent. Not very often do you see wrist spinners coming from Bangladesh. So I think they've found a gem in Rishad.
Michael, for you?
I mean, Shakib, I think he's a key all-rounder. He's been the number 1 all-rounder in the world in previous past. South Africa, I mentioned him, Klaasen. He's just got that ability to, he can win a game on his own, but you feel he's going to have to. South Africa, they're a funny team. They come to World Cups and they play great cricket leading into a World Cup. And yes, they've got over the line, which is a good sign for South Africa. They've won a couple of tight games, which is good for them. But you always feel when the crunch comes to it, when they're getting towards that Super 8 semi-finals, can they really believe that they can win the tournament? And that's going to be the big challenge for this group of players.
All right, so the group stage is done and dusted. A little update from today's game. The umpires did come out and there's going to be a toss at 8 p.m. So that's going to be a toss in the next 5 minutes there. But now we know the Super 8 teams. So let's quickly have a look at both the groups. And DK, who are your semi-finalists going to be?
I said this right at the start. India, Australia, England, West Indies. These were my 4 semi-finalists. I was worried England wouldn't make it, but I'm happy they're there now.
Michael, for you then?
I'm going to go West Indies and England. Group A is difficult. It's really difficult. It's difficult because the game that I think Australia are going to play Afghanistan in St. Vincent.
Yes. And
that pitch isn't a great pitch, but the seam bowlers have been doing quite a lot of damage there. So I think Australia are going to win that game against Afghanistan. So I think they're going to sneak through. It's India or Afghanistan. And I think it'll just be India. So I'm going to say exactly the same as DK, but that Group A, quite easily Afghanistan could get through.
Over Australia.
And I'm not too sure whether it'll be Australia or India. I can't give you a decision, but Afghanistan might sneak through in that group.
Okay, you know what?
And actually, Saiyami, you're the one who always thinks out of the box. What are your semi-finalists, please?
Yeah, good question, DK.
Why, DK? Why put me in the spot? See,
I know you're a big fan of Afghanistan.
Yes.
I just want to know what you're thinking.
Will Afghanistan get through?
So the heart says India, Afghanistan, but the head says India, Australia.
Right.
Just because of the way Australia is playing. And, there's that Travers head who always comes and does things in the World Cup. So I want my heart to win, not my head. But I think it's going to be, the head things is going to be India, Australia, West Indies and England.
You're going to go the same?
Yeah.
There's no way we can be right.
Yeah.
No way.
But it'll be such a romantic
There's no
story.
wiggle room there.
I mean, if the United States of America makes it from that group, that will be quite a story. It will be a story for the ages. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah. But my heart really breaks when I see that group. It breaks because I've always been a big fan of New Zealand. DK, I really always like the nice guys in cricket. New Zealand's filled with nice guys of cricket. But it's just so heartbreaking because they have been, since 2014, they have been semi-finalists and finalists for all these years. So we are so used to seeing them there at the big stage. We're going to be terribly missing them this time around.
I don't think you should miss them. They have punched way above their weight for some time now. They're such a good team in World Cups and they've been so consistent. Just like what Michael said, it had to come to an end at some stage and it so happened that it's come right at the end of their careers. What a journey it's been. Trent, Boult, Kane, Williamson and Tim Southee started in the Under-19 World Cup together, and from there they have literally made New Zealand team the powerhouse that they are. And I think it's the likes of Ravchandra Ravindra, Glenn Phillips to take over from here, Matt Henrys, and kind of keep this legacy going, which is not easy. They do have the potential, but again, they need the strength of character to come through almost every time they play because that's what they most rely on. And it's been a great journey for them in this last decade. And I think if you're a supporter of New Zealand, you should only be proud, nothing else but that.
But Michael, what do you think went wrong this time around? Because, we've seen them, they didn't play the warm-ups. We see them, they've not really regrouped, if you can say, because they don't play too many bilaterals. They just play these big tournaments. The main players go and play the big tournaments, don't play too many bilaterals. So what do you think went wrong this time around?
I think it's just proven that if you go back to the 50-over World Cup, England just arrived. They swapped and changed their team in September against, I think it was New Zealand and Ireland. And they just arrived at a 50-over World Cup expecting to perform. They didn't. I think New Zealand have done a similar thing here where they've just no warm-up games. Players have been playing in the IPL. They've gone home. They've arrived at the Caribbean. And they've just gone, right, we'll just play the World Cup. And they've probably gone, because we're so experienced and we've done so well in World Cups in previous past, we know how to deliver on the stage. Well, this was probably the wake-up call that maybe New Zealand cricket needed that. And they're not the kind of team that needs a wake-up call because they always give it absolutely everything. But it's just a little bit of a lesson that even New Zealand, who have got probably the best attitudes in the world and are collective and together, give it absolutely everything. Even they can't just arrive at a World Cup and produce magic. You know, you do need to play a few games together.
I have a very important question for you. No, you finish your point. Sorry, I just interjected there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, even though they're probably as tight a team that can play in world cricket, but even when you're a tight team, you still got to get back on the field and play 2 or 3 games together. Just get used to one another. You know, the running between the wickets, the little combinations that you require in T20, just who goes where in the field, just to remind everyone of what's happening out on the cricket field, rather than just talking about it and having team meetings. So I guess England in the 50 overs and now New Zealand, it just shows you that you do have to do a little bit. You have to do a little bit of the team on the actual field of play. And it was going to come to an end. You know, this journey has been a remarkable, as DK says, a remarkable journey. I'm just slightly gutted that they've not won a trophy.
Yes.
You know, I think, and I don't think, you know, the Indian fans, the England fans, even the Australian fan, I don't think you'd begrudge a New Zealand team winning a trophy. And they've done everything but how they replace a Trent Boult, I have no idea.
Yes.
Because he's up there with all the great bowlers who sets the tone. And that's been in all formats, but in particular T20 cricket. How often has he got a wicket in the first over? Yes. And then another one, and he bowls the first spell that just breaks open the game and puts New Zealand on top. How you replace those numbers, well, you can't replace it. You've got to get very, very lucky, and you've got to trust a youngster or two over the next few years to hope that they come to somewhere near the standard of Trent Boult. But I do fear for New Zealand going forward without a Trent Boult and potentially a Southee, and then Kane Williamson goes, they're going to take some rebuilding.
You know, Michael, you spoke about Trent Boult. The update is that the captains came out, but the toss has gotten delayed again because of rain. And I really want this game to happen because, like Michael said, this is going to be Trent Boult's last game in a T20 World Cup. DK, you've been playing opposite him. 3 teams that you've played in the IPL, Delhi, MI and KKR, he was always on the opposite side. What are your fondest memories of Trent Boult? Or not so fond memories?
Yeah, for a start, he's gotten me out a couple of times. Let's not go there. That's one. But the first thing is how good and how teams are wary when he starts with the new ball all the way up to this year. He's been that good. Over a decade now, he's dominated. In his little stint with MI, he almost won them the final single-handedly with how he started in that in the IPL final. He was the man of the match in the semis and the final. That's how good he was. But most importantly for me, I remember doing a training session with him, a running session, Saiyami. And when I speak about running, I get scared speaking to you. But anyway, I'll continue. And he did a session. Man, he's such a fit guy. Oh, by a distance, one of the most fittest cricketers I've seen running wise. So it was literally running across the ground and you have to sprint, stop, wait 10 seconds, sprint back.
Was this your younger times or was this recent?
Very recent. When I say recent, 3 years ago, I think, 3.5.
Wow.
Oh, wow. He is fit to a different level. That's why he's like an energy bunny. You see him bowl a spell. He can bowl 8-over spells in Test cricket. He has bowled it as well. And he's ready to come back for another spell and bowl it with the same intensity. And that's quite phenomenal. And you can ask, their trainer is called Chris Donaldson, and he was saying he is one of the fittest cricketers going around.
Just on that, DK, what really is remarkable about the modern era is that, you know, 2 bowlers that have had incredible longevity, Trent Boult, Jimmy Anderson. What do they do more than anybody or any other bowler that I've seen? They run. They run and run and run.
Yes.
And guess what bowling's all about?
Running. Lots of running.
I watch these 2 legends of what they deliver. I think, why do all young bowlers realise that what their job is to actually run? So why aren't they doing all the shuttles and all the movements? I mean, I see Jimmy still. I mean, he's got one more Test match to go. I see him on his Instagram running around running tracks.
Wow. You
know, it's opposite the Manchester City Stadium. It's an Institute of Sport place. And he just runs and runs and runs. And you see Trent Boult, he runs and runs and runs. There's a little lesson there for some young bowlers, maybe from Pakistan.
Well, we've got the secret out. There are a lot of young bowlers who watch Cricbuzz live, so the secret is out. If you want to be a Jimmy Anderson, you want to be a Trent Boult, Michael and DK have told you all what you'll need to do. Run. As simple as that to start with. But
And
Michael,
also, it's a very fair point, Saimi, and I say this, you are also someone who trains a lot. In training, there are two aspects. One is going to the gym, lifting weights, and that helps the muscle as well. One is running. And now running for a lot of people is the harder part. They conveniently try and do less of running and more of gym. It is good. You need to do gym. You need to do power exercises, whatever. There is plenty of varieties in the gym as well. But you need to complement that with enough of running. As you get older, it's actually running that keeps you going, because a lot of the bodies, the first thing that gives in is the hamstring, because you do so much of work. So, without getting into the technicalities, what Michael says is very, very true. As you get older, you need to work on your running.
it's a very interesting point. But Michael, on a lighter note, 2019, this is the only time Trent Boult didn't get a wicket probably in a very important match, also dropped a very important catch. But besides that, your fond memories of Trent Boult?
Oh, I've got loads of memories of Trent Boult, just so many spells, whether it's for New Zealand, whether it's in the IPL for the teams that he's played. I mean, Test cricket, 50-over cricket, T20 cricket. There's only a small few that have mastered all formats. We can probably list them on our hands, really. Players that you just know have dominated in Test match cricket, and then in 50-over cricket, and now this new era of T20 cricket. There's a small few that have done all three formats, and there's only a small few bowlers in particular. You go Jasprit Bumrah, Trent Boult. There aren't that many.
Yes.
I mean, Ravi Ashwin off these spinners. There's a few of them, but in terms of the pace bowlers, there aren't that many that have mastered all three formats, and Trent certainly with that. I mean, dropping Ben Stokes in the World Cup final is a very fond memory, but we're here to talk positively about Trent and what he's delivered, and it's everything about fitness, it's about longevity, it's getting, I mean, as a bowler, I can only imagine the body, what it feels like every morning that you wake up, and he just charges in. He charges in, and I've spent a bit of time with him in the IPL, playing a bit of paddle tennis with him. Ooh. An absolute energy bunny. He's just full of energy, full of life, full of humour, loves the game. And again, I go back to what Jimmy Anderson said a few weeks ago, and he was talking about retirement. And the same's for Trent Boult. They love playing. You have to love cricket. You have to love playing the game of cricket. If you're going to run in every day for pretty much 15, 20 years, you've got to love what you're doing. And both those bowlers, and in particularly who we're talking about now, Trent Boult, he loves playing the game of cricket, and that's why they last so long.
Well, Trent Boult sure loves the game of cricket and has been giving us so much joy for so much time. And someone who doesn't give us too much joy when he asks his question is Mr. Joy Bhattacharya. Let's have a look at Joyda's question for the day. Complete this list of international cricketers. Sharon Tedria, Clive Lloyd, Belinda Clark and Dash.
Oh, it's a tough one.
DK, are you trying?
I was just thinking, could be something to do with captaincy, I feel, because Belinda Clark and Clive Lloyd are there.
Why don't you ask that lady on the beach behind you if she knows, DK? I can see there's someone on the...
Okay, Michael, I think we're going to let DK go and ask that lady behind him the answer to the Joy Bhattacharya question of the day, because we still don't have an update on the toss. It has been delayed. So once we do get an update, we will come back, and we would love to sit here and watch DK's backdrop, but we'll let him go and find out the answer to the Joy factor question of the day. We will be back very soon, so catch us then.